Introduction: a journey within. Some books entertain, some instruct, and a rare few awaken something within us. The Alchemist by Paulo Coelho belongs to that last kind. Beneath its simple tale of a young shepherd named Santiago lies a spiritual map for anyone seeking meaning, courage, and purpose. The novel begins in the rolling fields of Andalusia, where Santiago tends his flock and dreams of adventure. Yet his story is much larger than a boy's search for treasure. It is about every person's search for destiny, what Coelho calls one's personal legend. When Santiago dreams of treasure buried near the Egyptian pyramids, he doesn't realize that the real discovery will be the transformation of his own spirit. Along his path, he meets guides, a mysterious king, a crystal merchant, an English scholar, and finally, an alchemist, each reflecting a truth he must learn before reaching his goal. Coelho's story blends parable, mysticism, and philosophy into one powerful message. When we listen to our hearts and follow our dreams, the universe itself moves with us. The treasure we seek often lies closer than we imagine, but we must first undertake the journey to recognize it. In this summary, we'll explore 5 timeless lessons hidden within Santiago's travels. Lessons about dreams, courage, destiny, love, and faith. Together, they reveal why the alchemist continues to inspire millions to chase what truly matters. Because Santiago's journey isn't just his story, it's ours, a reminder that the world whispers to those who dare to listen. Chapter 1: Dreams are the beginning of destiny. Every great journey begins with a dream. For Santiago, a young shepherd in the hills of Andalusia, that dream is both mysterious and persistent. Each night, as he sleeps under the branches of an old sycamore tree growing through the ruins of a church, he dreams of treasure buried near the Egyptian pyramids. A child appears in the dream, guiding him toward the promise of unimaginable wealth. But before revealing where to find it, Santiago wakes. This simple dream sets his life in motion. Unsure whether it's mere fantasy or divine guidance, he visits a fortune teller for answers. She listens carefully and tells him something unexpected. The dream means exactly what it says. He must travel to the pyramids to find his treasure. Santiago leaves, frustrated by the simplicity of her words. But her message hides a deeper truth. The simplest things are often the most extraordinary, and only the wise can see that. Not long after, Santiago meets an old man named Melchizedek, who reveals himself as a king in disguise. He explains that the dream is a sign, a message from the universe calling Santiago toward his personal legend, the one purpose each person is born to fulfill. To ignore that calling is to live half awake. To follow it is to come alive. Encouraged by this encounter, Santiago sells his flock and sets out for Egypt. The dream that once felt distant now feels like destiny. Coelho reminds us through Santiago that dreams are not random. They're the language of the soul. They point us toward what matters most, if only we have the courage to follow. Every dream that stirs your heart is an invitation to begin, not to wish, but to move. Chapter 2: The Language of the World, Listening to Life's Signs. When Santiago leaves Spain behind, he steps into the unknown, both in the world and within himself. His first taste of adventure is harsh. Upon arriving in Tangier, he is robbed of all his money. In one moment, his dream feels shattered. He has no flock, no fortune, and no way home. Yet this loss marks the beginning of his awakening. As Santiago struggles to survive, he begins to notice something remarkable. Life itself starts to communicate with him. Through small coincidences and encounters, he learns what the alchemist later calls the language of the world, the silent conversation between the universe and those willing to listen. While working in a crystal merchant's shop to rebuild his savings, Santiago realizes that every event, no matter how ordinary, carries meaning. He notices how polishing one glass brings in customers, how small risks lead to bigger rewards. Slowly, he begins to see omens everywhere, not as superstitions, but as subtle guidance. This is Coelho's central insight. The universe has its own language, made not of words but of intuition, symbols, and chance meetings. When you align your actions with your heart's desire, life itself begins to cooperate. The language of the world can't be learned from books, it's learned through awareness. A glance, a change in the wind, an unexpected conversation, all can carry messages if you're open to them. Santiago's setbacks teach him that even misfortune can be a teacher. By listening to life signs, he starts to move not with fear, but with faith. And so he continues toward the desert, guided not by maps or logic, but by a growing trust in something deeper, the invisible hand that speaks to every heart brave enough to hear. Chapter 3. The Journey Through the Desert. Faith over Fear. Santiago's path leads him deep into the desert, a vast, silent world where time seems to stand still. Here, surrounded by endless dunes and shifting winds, he learns the hardest lesson of all, to trust the unknown. Traveling with a camel caravan across the Sahara, Santiago faces danger, exhaustion, and doubt. The desert is beautiful but merciless, yet in its silence, he begins to hear his own heart more clearly. Fear whispers constantly, fear of failure, of loss, of having made a terrible mistake. But each time he listens closely, another voice answers, calm and steady. Keep going. It is during this journey that Santiago meets an Englishman obsessed with studying alchemy, the ancient art of turning base metals into gold. The Englishman teaches him that true alchemy is not about transforming matter, but about transforming oneself. Every trial in the desert becomes a kind of spiritual refinement, stripping away comfort, ego, and illusion until only purpose remains. When war breaks out between desert tribes, Santiago's courage is tested again. The journey could end at any moment, yet he presses on, guided by omens and an unshakable belief that the universe has brought him this far for a reason. Coelho's message here is clear. The path toward our dreams is never safe or easy. The desert represents the uncertainty that lies between who we are and who we can become. But only by walking through it can we discover our strength. Faith, Santiago learns, is not the absence of fear. It's the decision to move forward despite it. The desert strips everything away until only truth remains. When you follow your heart with courage, even the silence begins to speak. Chapter 4. Love, Alchemy, and the Soul of the World. In the middle of the desert, Santiago discovers something more powerful than gold, love. At an oasis, he meets Fatima, a young woman whose presence stills his restless heart. Their connection is immediate and profound, as if the desert itself had brought them together. For the first time, Santiago questions his journey. He has found something precious here, something worth staying for. But the desert and the universe test him again. Fatima tells him that true love never holds you back. If I am really part of your dream, she says, you'll come back. Her words awaken a new understanding in Santiago. Love is not possession, it is permission. To fulfill his personal legend, he must continue toward the pyramids, not in spite of love, but because of it. Soon after, Santiago meets the Alchemist, a wise man who becomes his final guide. The Alchemist teaches him that everything in creation, from the wind to the stars, is part of a single, divine tapestry called the soul of the world. When we follow our true purpose with faith and purity of heart, that soul conspires to help us succeed. Through the Alchemist's lessons, Santiago learns that alchemy is not about turning metal into gold. It's about transforming the spirit, refining fear into faith, confusion into clarity, and desire into destiny. In this chapter of his journey, Santiago discovers that love and purpose are not opposites. They are mirrors of the same truth. Love gives meaning to the quest, and the quest gives depth to love. When the heart and the universe speak the same language, even the wind becomes an ally. That is the essence of the soul of the world, and the secret of alchemy itself. Chapter 5. The Treasure Within. Returning home transformed. At last, Santiago reaches the Egyptian pyramids, the destination that has driven him across continents, through deserts, love, and loss. Standing before the ancient stones, he feels an overwhelming sense of awe. Tears fill his eyes as he kneels to dig in the sand, certain his treasure lies beneath. But fate delivers one final test. Two thieves attack him, stealing what little he has left. When Santiago explains that he is digging because of a dream, one of the men laughs. He tells Santiago that he, too, once had a dream of treasure buried beneath a ruined church in Spain, where a sycamore tree grows through the roof. In that moment, realization dawns. The treasure Santiago sought was never in Egypt. It was waiting for him all along, at the very place where his dream began. The journey wasn't meant to lead him far away. It was meant to lead him back to himself. Santiago returns home, weary but awakened. Beneath the old sycamore tree where he once slept, he digs, and there at last he finds the chest of gold. But what matters more is what he has become, wiser, humbler, and alive with gratitude. Coelho's final message shines here. The treasure you seek is not out in the world, it is within you. Every trial, every love, every loss is part of the alchemy that turns an ordinary soul into gold. Santiago's story is our story, the human search for meaning, the courage to follow a dream, and the realization that what we were looking for has always been closer than we imagined. The journey ends where it began, but the traveler is forever changed. Conclusion. The journey becomes the treasure. The Alchemist is more than a story about finding gold. It's a story about finding yourself. Santiago's journey reminds us that life's greatest treasures are rarely material. They're the wisdom we gain, the love we give, and the courage we find when we choose faith over fear. Here are the timeless lessons from The Alchemist. Follow your dreams. Every person has a personal legend, a purpose that gives their life meaning. When you listen to your heart, the universe begins to guide your steps. Read the signs. The world is always speaking, through coincidences, challenges, and intuition. Pay attention. The answers you seek are often hidden in plain sight. Embrace the journey. The path to your treasure will not be easy, but every obstacle refines you. The transformation is the reward. Love deeply, but never lose yourself. True love gives freedom, not fear. When two souls walk in harmony, each becomes stronger. Look within. What you've been searching for is already inside you. The journey outward is only to help you see it clearly. Paulo Coelho's message is simple yet profound. When you dare to follow your dream, life itself becomes an adventure. The world will test you, shape you, and finally reveal that the treasure was never buried far away. It was always waiting in your own heart. So listen to your dreams. Trust the omens. And remember, when you walk your true path, the entire universe moves with you. Until next time, thank you for listening. Stay inspired, stay curious, and may your journey always lead you home.